Hey guys, I'm here to show you how to edit one of my pregnancy announcements. So after purchasing, you'll receive an email within minutes from Corjl to the email address associated with your Etsy account. The message will include an access link to access your purchased item. So after you log in, you're going to be on a screen like this. Over here on the left, you are going to see your two different background options. You're going to have the option with the sonogram, or you're going to have the option with no sonogram, if you see over here to the left. So if I do not want a picture, the ultrasound picture, then I'm going to click on the background that says no sonogram, and then see it brings up the template that does not have that. I'm going to show you how to edit the one with the sonogram. So I'm going to click back on that. So for starters, we want to get our sonogram picture in. So you're going to come click right here. And then up in this upper right hand corner, this kind of blue-green replace image button, you're going to click that. And then you're going to click right here. And you will then find your file with your sonogram and select the one you want. And then hit open. And then save. And then that's going to bring it in. So I'm going to zoom in so that we can get it fitting exactly in that photo area, just as we want it. So as you can see, this is now clipped into that area. If you come over to here to your right, you're going to see this layers palette. Sometimes when you open, it's going to be closed like this. So you're going to just want to click on that arrow and it's going to bring it up. And you're going to see that's named clipping mask, and it is technically clipped to this image that is either named sonogram or photo, depending on which template you're in. And that's why it's hooked in like this. As you can see, it was a little bit smaller than that image. To make it fit exactly how we want to grab from one of these four corners and drag, and that makes it bigger, and then just click on it and we can move it around to fit in there right where we want it. I want to point out you do not want to grab from one of the sides. If I grab from the side and pull, it distorts it. We do not want to do that. So like I said, grab from one of the corners, make it as big and small as you want, and move it around. Every once in a while, if you just add an image, it won't be clipped to this area, or sometimes just things can happen and it can become unclipped. If that happens, you're going to want to come over here to your layers, and I'm going to show you. So I'm going to right click on this clipping mask, and this clipping mask is the layer that is the photo. So if you happen to just add an image, it would just be like named the image over here, and it would not have this little arrow, and it would not be clipped to that. So I'm going to show you what happens if it becomes unclipped, how to reclip it. So first I'm going to unclip this. So I right click on it and hit release clipping mask. So now see, it is not hooked to that. So if this happened, you would first want to kind of drag your image. Oh, I moved the text. Drag the image back over where we want it hooked. And if you happen to just add an image, it would be your top layer. So you want to click that, drag it right down above, like I said, either sonogram or it might say photo. Right click on the photo layer or the clipping mask layer and hit create clipping mask. And now it's clipped back in. So that's exactly how I want it right there. I'm going to zoom back out, and now I'm going to show you how to edit the text. So there's two ways that we can edit the text. Let's zoom out so we can see the whole thing. So if I want to just come in and the only thing I want to change is just the text, I don't want to change like the font or the color, we're going to come in here. So I want to leave it as we're expecting, but we want to change the last name. So I'm going to click on that, and I can edit this one of two ways. I can come over here and I can edit the text over in this box, or I can even just double click in this area and change the name. Let's say Baby Smith, how about? Then I'm going to click off, and that's edited. And then let's change it to July. Oh, I want it caps locked. So I can either hit my caps lock, or I can come over here, and if I hit these two capital T's, that would make it all capital letters too. So July of 2021. Okay, so now that is all changed and edited. I have my sonogram in, I have my last name, and I have the date that the baby is due. So I'm going to come now back over here to the left. So see, I'm over here. I'm going to point out, if we wanted to just totally start over, we could hit revert to original. That's only if you want to go back to exactly how it was when you opened it, because once you click that, it's going to erase all of your changes. Okay, but anyway, now it is all how I want it. So I'm going to hit Save Changes and download. And I'm going to save it as a JPEG and hit Next. I do not want to show bleed, and I do not want to show trim marks because it's just a digital item. Then I'm going to select Download JPEG. That's going to save most likely to your downloads, and then you can go and either text it or email it to yourself and get it to your phone, to however you want to save it to social media. I'm going to show you now a few more detailed edits if we want to make a few more changes. First of all, I want to point out, if you're editing this on a mobile device, everything I just showed you is pretty easy and straightforward to do on a mobile device. If you want to come in and make these more detailed changes, it's going to be a lot easier to do on a computer versus a phone or an iPad. Okay, so like I said, this is going to be if we want to make a few more changes. I want to point a few things out. So I'm going to come over here and click on We're Expecting, okay? So over here on the right, you are going to see I can change my fonts. I have a whole bunch of different fonts that you can choose from. So you're able to change your font if you would like. You can change your size right here. Other things is this line spacing. That's going to determine how far apart the letters are. I usually have a little bit of spacing between them, but so see, if I make it bigger, it spaces those letters out more. If I go back to 4, you're going to see they're going to go a little bit closer together. When changing the size of the font in these letter boards, I'm going to zoom in and show you. I like to have where it looks like, real letters on a letter board where they would be. So I like to have them extend just a little bit past a groove on the top and a groove on the bottom. So you can see that that's kind of how I have them all, just a little bit. So you can change the font by changing the size, or if you would like, you can click right here, resize as an image. And when you do that, if you drag from this corner, it keeps the ratio exactly how it is. And I could, make it extend bigger. I'm going to hit undo. Or I can drag and make it stretched that way. I'm going to hit undo again. Or I can drag it wider and make it that way as well. Oh. So that's resize as an image. And then if you ever don't like how it is, if you just click back, it will go back to the size that it is right here. You can also change the color of anything. So you're going to click right here, and let's say I want it black instead of white. So see, I can just drag this to different colors, bring it over here, make it blue, but like I said, I'm going to make it black. Okay, now you can see as I pulled that to black, it has a white border around it. The reason it has that is because I have a stroke on, which has just made it more bold. Depending on the template, some of my fonts do, some of them don't. So an easy way to find out if that stroke is on is to change the color, and you'll see that border around it. It's super easy to change. I'm going to show you though, let's say I am going to make it like a totally different color. So once I've done that, I've dragged it exactly where I want it. I'm going to highlight this color code right here, hit Control or Command C, and then that is copied so that I could go and make everything that same color. So now let's say I want expecting to be that same color. I'm going to click that. I'm going to highlight the color code here and hit Command V. Or I believe on a PC it's Control C. But on a Mac it's Command V. So copy is Command C, paste is Command V. Okay, but like I said, now we can see that we have this border around them. So I'm going to click back here on Where, and then right down below these text options. Oh, and then so LS is the letter spacing. You can make it left, justified, center, or right. And then also this would change. I don't know what just happened there. if you click this, this changes the line height. So that's only if you have 2 rows in your text. But on my letterboards, I usually try to keep it to 1 row so I can move them and get them the exact placement that I want. Okay, but to get rid of this border now, so like I said, click on it, come right here on this right side and hit Style Text. And here you can see you have options for a drop shadow, a stroke, outer glow, gradient, you can curve it, opacity, rotation. I don't tend to use those bottom 3, or those bottom 5, sorry, but I do have a drop shadow on. That just gives it that more 3D look, makes it look more real, less digital. And then here you see I have this stroke on, and the stroke is the color that the text was. Also, I don't have a bright white font on. I kind of have a little bit of a gray. I think once again it just looks a little more natural than, you know, a stark white. So I had that copied. So I'm going to come in, highlight this, Command V, and now you can see my stroke is the same color as my text. So same thing, clicked on this new text, Style Text. I'm going to leave my drop shadow the same. I'm going to change my stroke color to what I changed my font color to, and there it is. Another thing, that stroke, it can be bolder the higher the number is. If you bring in a new font, usually the default stroke is 10. I like it usually between about 1 and 5, so I'm just going to show you a 9. Oh, I was clicked on the wrong one. Let's bring that back to 4. Right here, we're expecting. So that's a 2. Let's make it a 7. You can see how much bolder that made it. But let's bring it back to 2. And then I'm also going to bring these back to my original font color. So the colors that I originally start with are usually saved in these presets. So I'm going to click right there. I'm going to come change its stroke. Same thing, click there. Click on that font and the stroke. Oh, I did the stroke, change the font color. Okay, so now you can see that's back to normal. I'm going to show you now changing the fonts. Oh, somehow that came unclipped, you can see. So I right click, I'm going to hit Release Clipping Mask, Create Clipping Mask. I don't know why that did that, but like I said, every once in a while I know that that can happen. I'm going to come over here and save, because I haven't saved for a while. Okay, so let's change this text. Let's bring it down here. Let's do this one. Okay, and let's say I don't want that one quite so bold. So I'm going to come in here to Style Text. I'm going to bring my stroke down to a 1. So hit 1, Enter, or you can drag that as well. Now I'm going to zoom in and make sure it's the size that I want it. So I bring it here, and that actually is a pretty good size. Let me show you one when maybe the size would be a little bit different. So I'm going to click on that. Let's do this one. Okay. Actually, that fits pretty well, but let's say I want it to extend, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. So let's just come and kind of guess. Let's see what 55 does. So see, that's not quite big enough, so 58. And with this particular font, I want the letters spaced out a little bit more, so come in here and do 6. Okay, so I could do a couple of things here. If I want to make expecting, you know, or July and 2021 the same font, I could do it one of 2 ways. I could delete expecting. So I would click on expecting, come over here and hit delete, and I could click this, and I can duplicate it. That way I know that the font's the exact same size, and I just come and drag it. You know, it's going to have the same stroke, the same color, everything like that. If I just came in here, and if I add a new text box, it's going to just bring in a basic size, and then I would come in and I would need to change its color, you know, pick its font, which was the Priscilla right here, and I could see like, okay, so this was size 58, check my Style Text, you know, I'd want to look at what my drop shadow was. It's a 5 and my stroke is a 1. So that's why sometimes just copying it is going to be a little bit better. But I'm going to show you real quick if I'm not going to copy it. So we wanted this to say expecting. Pull it down. So like I said, I'm going to check. So that's 58 is the size. But like I said, you can see it does not have the stroke, so it's not quite as bold, and it also, the letter spacing and everything is different. So let's look. Our letter spacing is 6, so I'm going to click on that. Come in here, make that 6. Click on here, and let's go style text. So let's see, my drop shadow, I always have that saved in. My drop shadow is always that darker one. So let's click on this one. Let's add a drop shadow. It automatically made it black, and it had my distance and blur different. So do you see how that's different? So I'm going to see this one is 5 and 22. Click back on this text. Let's make that 5 and 22. And now it's the same, other than I just need to add the 1 stroke. So I'm going to come click on that and make that 1, but it's black. So make it the text color. And now it matches. And then let's just come make it fit right where we want it. Zoom out. Okay, so let's come change this one. Because these are already have the stroke and the color the same, it's just going to be easy. So we're just going to make that font the same as what we had. And check the size. That was 58. Let's make this one 58 and change the letter spacing. I believe it was a 6, right? Move it. You can move with your arrow keys, or you can zoom in and move with your cursor. Another thing I like to do to make sure it's centered in the letterboard is just drag these. So once I click on it, drag these and make them line up right with the outside of the frame. And then you know it's centered on that letterboard. Okay, so change this font. Set it at 58. Make sure it's centered. Sometimes when I have the sonogram, I'll move it just a little off center to the right, just to make it look a little better to the eye. If I want to move multiple things at once, it's really easy too. I come over here to the layers. I click on, so I want July and the year. If I hold my shift key, and you have to hold it down while you click. Oh, so click on that, hold it. Then it's selecting them both, and so my arrow key is going to move both at the same time. So that's kind of handy if I wanted to move both of those just a little off center. Let's hit save. Zoom out. Let's just do one more text change to show you. Let's do... Okay, so this particular script, I might not want the stroke on. So I changed that. Let's come in here, style text. Just see the stroke is pretty high. Let's see what we think of it at a 2. I think that looks a little bit better, or I could just totally turn it off. Oh, I'm on the wrong. Turn it off. It would look like that. But I'm actually going to change this font. I dragged the wrong one. And if you ever drag something wrong, just come up here and hit undo. Sometimes you have to make sure you're clicking on the right text. I also usually like to kind of make sure I'm fairly close on the amount of spacing between everything. So I have 2 between this. So I would probably want 2 between these down here. And then, like I said, I'm going to zoom out, make sure that that looks how I want it. And then once again, when it's exactly how I want it, I'm going to come and hit save and download. It's a JPEG. Next. You can edit this as many times as you would like, download it as many times as you would like, but be sure if you have any questions, just reach out through Etsy. I'm happy to help. I can log on from my end and I can jump on and help you with anything. Thank you for purchasing from my shop, and I hope you have a wonderful day.